Hey everyone, welcome to the very first episode of the Rule of Two podcast, a podcast dedicated to all things Star Wars. I'm one of your hosts, Aaron Richland.
And I'm your other host, Sean Ritter. And to learn a little bit more about us, make sure you check out episode 0. It's an introductory episode, give you a little bit of background about us, who we are, and what you can expect to hear while enjoying our podcast.
All right, so we'll go ahead and just jump right in. So this week was actually a pretty big week when it comes to Star Wars news. In particular, the upcoming Star Wars film Solo: A Star Wars Story.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And I don't know about you, but I remember when I first heard the announcement that they were making a Han Solo origin story, my first thought was stupid.
Like, why?
Like, what are they doing? Like, why?
Yeah.
Like, do something original. We already seen plenty of Han Solo. Let's see something about someone we haven't seen that a lot of. Exactly. However, with all of the trailers that have been coming out, I'm getting more and more excited as the date.
Exactly.
Gets closer.
I think my expectations are going to be kind of tempered a little bit, but I'm definitely very excited. We can kind of jump into some of the reasons why.
So let's talk about what's all been going on recently around this new Solo movie. There's a lot. I know there's a lot of things that have happened over the last week or so.
Yeah, so I think first of all we saw a trailer. We're seeing brand new action figures come out from
this
the
is
Black
a new trailer,
series.
right?
Yeah, brand new. Yes, trailer number 2, I believe, because we had the first one during the Super Bowl or something like that.
Did we not have one, like a teaser one before that, or was that the first one?
I don't know. Teasers these days are just normal trailers, so I mean that's what they seem like.
I honestly can't remember. Point being, we had a brand new trailer come out this week.
New scenes. Like I said, we had new action figures. So we have Black Series action figures that are pretty cool. Kind of your regular action figures, your standard action figures that you see come out for every movie. Let's see. I believe they're starting the press rounds. I'm starting to see some interviews come in with some of the actors, which I'm very excited about. We've
got some juicy leaks that have come out around, some rumors that have come out around this movie that we want to talk to you about. So let's jump right in. Let's start with the new trailer. Let's talk about that a little bit.
I really liked it. Let's start with one of the things that I've seen the most and something that jumps out at you right away, and that's the music. So I don't know if you remember it.
The music has been awesome, and not only with this trailer, the previous trailer that we got, I think when it came out during the Super Bowl. The music has been awesome, and I really hope they incorporate some of that into the actual movie.
Yeah.
Because I've really been digging it. I think it's pretty badass.
It's very instrumental, I don't know, guitar heavy. It's different, and I think they're intentionally doing that to kind of show the type of person that Han Solo was as
I think I think that's a really good point. I think it helps depict the mood of this movie, the type of characters we're going to see, not only with Han Solo, but with Lando. I mean, these are all kind of like scum of the earth type of people, like low, born, living in the gutters. And I think this music does a very good job of bringing out some of that. And I like it too, because it's still Star Wars music. You can hear some of the notes from all the original Star Wars music, but it's got like all of this cool, like, newer twist to it, which I think is very cool.
Yeah. Let's see. So something else, I think the biggest question on everybody's mind after watching this trailer kind of come towards the end, but is Chewbacca gonna make it? It's a dangerous situation.
You're referring to when he's hanging out of the Millennium Falcon.
Yes.
They're speeding around a mountain. A big rock is coming towards them. And we don't know if Chewbacca's going to live or die, pretty much.
I'm on the edge of my seat already.
I agree with you. Would be really sad to see him go, but who knows? I mean, I guess we'll just have to watch and find out.
Obviously, he's going to die. We all know that.
Let's talk a little bit about a surprise actor that I didn't know was going to be in this movie until this new trailer came out. Mr. Paul Bettany.
That was pretty cool.
Very cool. I like him a lot. For those of you who don't know him, he is Vision in the new Marvel movies. Previously, the voice of Jarvis. And he's been in, various other things. But very cool to see him in this. Previously unaware that he was going to be part of this movie. I'm very interested to see who he is. He definitely looks like a villain, for sure.
I was just about to say he's probably definitely the villain.
Definitely a villain. Got scars all over his face. He looks kind of evil, and he's good at playing that role, so I think it'll be great. And there's also a very quick scene where you see what looks like a light whip which, like a lightsaber whip.
Yeah,
it's
so I
kind
thought
of what
they
it
were
looks
more
like.
of like blades. Like he had two of them, one with kind of like double bladed blades. But
I only remember
don't know.
seeing the whip, and I thought he was holding it, or it looked like some sort of whip. It was
What
fast.
it was looked like a lightsaber or some sort of like the things on the Praetorian guards. You know how they have the
Right.
something like that.
Right. Yeah, it could be. That's a good point. It could be something like that. Either way, very excited to find out what that is, what his background is, who he is, and how he's going to contribute to the story.
Yeah. I think another something that Solo, the Star Wars story, has going for me is just the plethora of actors that are in it, like well-known actors. I personally like that. Some people may not. I don't know your take on that. Some people think that maybe it kind of takes you out of the experience a little bit, but for me, I don't really see it that way. I can kind of separate it out, unless they cast Johnny Depp somewhere. No offense.
Honestly, that has never really bothered me. I'm able to separate. I know that I'm able to see them as their characters and not as the actors, right? And I guess it really, for me, it depends on who the actors are. If they're actors I don't particularly like, then yeah, it kind of takes me out of it a little bit because I don't like watching them. Everybody I've seen so far in this movie that I know about, I'm very excited about. Obviously, we've got a little bit of a newcomer playing Han Solo. Haven't really seen much from him. Very excited about Donald Glover being Lando. So Emilia Clarke, huge fan favorite everywhere. Game of Thrones, very cool to see her in Star Wars. Woody Harrelson has always been a big favorite of mine.
He's such
love seeing him in anything.
Well-versed actor and everything, and I am kind of going in with the expectation, I don't really know, but that he's kind of the Forrest Whitaker character, like the well-established actor that's coming in and playing probably a more minor role.
It's a good point. He probably will be. I hope he's got a little bit more of a role than Forrest Whitaker did in Rogue One. Mm-hmm. I really want to, especially since we got a lot of background on Saul Guerrero with Clone Wars, with Rebels. We saw a lot of that character, even though we didn't see a ton of Forrest Whitaker himself. With Woody Harrelson's character, we really don't know anything about him. So I'm hoping that we get more out of that character than we did out of Saul Guerrero in Rogue One. Mm-hmm. But I guess only time will tell.
Exactly.
Another thing I've been curious about is, do you know if Peter Mayhew is going to be Chewbacca?
I don't know. He'll probably be credited. Like, I think kind of in The Last Jedi, it was like the first movie.
He didn't do everything, really right? Like, he didn't do anything.
Yeah.
It was mostly because he's getting older.
Something like that, yeah.
It's like a lot of the ones where he's just standing around, but anything where there's like more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this one, judging by the trailer, there's going to be plenty of Chewbacca action. In the trailer, we see him brutally slam someone's head into the ground and probably kill them. And it's going to be awesome.
Great scene. I can't wait for the ferocity of Chewbacca. Oh, man. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
What were some of the other things that stood out in this trailer to you? I know one thing that kind of shocked me a lot that I didn't realize until this trailer was the Millennium Falcon.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, because you pointed it out to me. I didn't even notice.
It's not the interior, although the interior, it looks like it's brand squeaky clean new.
Like Lando really, really kept it up.
He really maintained it well. And as soon as he lost it to Han, it all kind of went to crap. What I'm talking about is the front of the Millennium Falcon. We're used to seeing this kind of pronged front end of the Falcon. And now it's all one piece. It's interesting. So I'm very curious to find out why or what happens between then and when we first see the Falcon in episode 4. Who knows what's going on with that? But I thought that was a bit of a shock to see the overall design of Millennium Falcon be so different than what we're used to.
Yeah, I think something that really stuck out to me was, and I think I pointed this out to you when you were watching it, was when Han Solo says, "I have a really good feeling about this," is what he says.
Right.
Which, as we all know, is, I have a bad feeling about this is in every movie. So it's interesting to see their take on that.
It's pretty much the opposite of everything that we're used to hearing in all the Star Wars movies, which I liked. It was kind of cool.
Let's see what else was in the trailer. That is, I mean, there was tons of action.
One thing that I wanted to talk about just a little bit is I liked they're clearly paying attention to Han Solo's character, and they're portraying it as best as they can. And a little thing that I think we both noticed is the actor who's playing Han Solo in this movie,
Alden Ehrenreich.
Ehrenreich. He actually pronounced it Falcon, which is how Harrison Ford always pronounced it in the old movies. Which I don't know if that was done on purpose, on accident. I would like to think it's on purpose, but I like the attention to detail.
I'm sure that was most likely on purpose. And the funny thing is I don't know if he says the Falcon in the trailer, right? That was actually in an interview that we saw with him. Just Alden Ehrenreich in general saying that. So
you're right.
You know, it's stuck in his head now. So I guess that is good. Whatever he did is sticking with him.
You're right. It was an interview that he said that, which makes it
a little bit better.
Right.
Yeah. And I think probably one of the best things in my opinion to come out of this trailer is that we finally got to see some dialogue from Lando, from Donald Glover, and I couldn't be happier. I really couldn't.
I'm very excited about what he's going to bring to this character. It looks like he's pretty much nailed him. And there's a couple of lines that yep, that's classic Lando. That's exactly what you would expect him to be like.
Exactly. You know, along those same lines, we, with Donald Glover, and you mentioned the thing about Alden Ehrenreich, and so that actually came from an interview with StarWars.com. You can find, they have a Star Wars show that they put up on YouTube, I believe every week. If you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend it. It's very good. You get a lot of information. Ours is going to be better, I think, but
of course it's going to be better.
Definitely better. So definitely listen to ours first. Theirs second, because they probably stole from us. But anyway, they did have an interview with both Donald Glover and Alden Ehrenreich, like we said, and they made a couple of good points that really made me have more confidence in them. I mean, I already had incredibly high confidence in Donald Glover because he was the perfect cast for Lando Calrissian. Obviously.
Absolutely, but hearing what he had to say definitely increased that amount of confidence. You know, he talked about being a fan. He was asked about being a fan, and does that put more pressure on you in the shoes that you have to fill with a role as big as Lando Calrissian? And I think his answer was pretty great. You know, he basically said, I think being a fan, you do a better job because you know what's going to be bad and what's going to be good. You know what you're expecting to see. So I love it that they got him to do this, because he knows he's not going to let anything get in there that's not quote unquote true to Star Wars. Yeah.
And he's just so talented. Like almost everything he does is amazing and either hilarious or, I mean, everything.
Is this the Donald Glover podcast or the Rule of
This
Two
is the Don Glover podcast. Don Glover. No. In the same interview, they did ask Alden what kind of sets Solo, a Star Wars story, apart from the other movies, and one thing that he brought up was the humor in this movie. And I mean, there's always been humor in Star Wars.
There's always been a little bit, arguably a little too much in Return of the Jedi, I think. Some of it was a little overdone.
Return of the Jedi, or
did I say Return of the Jedi?
The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi is what I meant to say.
Maybe a little too much.
Too much, but let's not get off topic. I agree with you. I'm excited that it's going to be funny because it fits into Lando and Han's characters. They were both sarcastic. They were both playboys. You expect them to be humorous and funny. And I like that he specifically called out that this movie is going to have the humor aspect that we're all expecting and wanting to see. Yeah,
and we've already seen bits and pieces of that in the trailer. Hopefully they kind of have more so that we don't go and
I'm sure
see
they
all
will.
of it. But, you know, I believe it was the first trailer, Han Solo says that thing about, you know, I think we're fine. We're going to be fine, you know. When
we're fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah. And then also in this previous trailer, Chewbacca says something about flying, and he says something along the lines of, you can fly, or since when can you fly? And he says something about being 190 years old.
Right. I had no idea Chewbacca was that old back then. So so now he's got to be at least 200, over 200.
Well, definitely over 200. I mean,
more than 10 years is
in The Last Jedi
passed, obviously.
Yeah,
so
it's been
he's got to be close
years,
to like 250 years old.
Close
Chewbacca, I didn't realize Wookiees lived that long. Interesting little
probably
fact
shouldn't announce that on a Star Wars podcast if you want real Star Wars fans to actually listen to this, because they won't like you for not knowing something so simple.
Okay, let's not put the other host on blast. All right,
there'll be plenty of opportunities for you to do that to me.
Mm-hmm. Looking forward to it.
One thing I did also want to call out in the Star Wars trailer for Solo was they actually had a cameo from a character in Rogue One.
Good call.
Yes, this I wasn't eagle-eyed enough to see it myself. I actually saw it on an article, but there is a character who is in Jeddah. I don't remember the specific part that he's in Jeddah City in Rogue One, but you can see him in the background when they're playing the cards. And, I think that is something that I really like to see, because it really kind of brings together the canon cohesion of little things like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It really ties some of those in-between spin-off movies together. So it really feels like it's all part of one bigger story that's being told. It's
really cool, too, because he was a character. This person's a bounty hunter named Tam Posla. I don't know how to pronounce it, but apparently he was in the ultimate guidebook to Rogue One.
Right.
We barely see him in Rogue One, but he has this rich background that is in this storybook, and then he's also in some of the comics, Dr. Aphra comics. I haven't read too many of the comics, but there are plenty of them. I've never even heard of the Dr. Aphra.
I'm really hoping that at some point they'll take some of these interesting side characters that you see for maybe a couple of seconds on screen and dive deeper into. I mean, they're making all kinds of movies now, right? Now that Disney's driving the ship, who knows what we're going to see in the next 10 to 15 years. It would be very cool to see a deeper dive into some of those. One of my bigger ones that I would like to see a little more information on, Sidon and Thano, who you can see in The Force Awakens, the Crimson Corsair. It was also what he's known as. He's got red armor, and Finn's about to leave with him and another creature from Maz Kanata's place. He was always very cool. He intrigued me. So, but yes, I like all of the little nuances, the little character placements, and they give them these huge, rich backgrounds.
Yes.
Yep. I just hope it's not for nothing.
Exactly.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the gossip and some of the headlines that have been coming out of this movie. Some of the leaks and things.
Yeah. So, the first thing that I think on everybody's mind is, how is Alden Ehrenreich going to be as a young Han Solo?
Is he going to live up to the hype? Is he going to do a good job? I mean, he's got quite the shoes to fill.
Exactly. And there was a report that came out from apparently it was an actor who was on set, a male actor that's not one of the main actors, and he has come out saying quite a bit of things, such as that we all knew that they hired an acting coach for Alden, which you can take one way or the other. I personally think it's probably a good idea, but it was something.
It's great to hear that they hired him. That means he's going to be better than he would have been.
Apparently, it kind of visibly took a hit of his ego, sort of like having to hire an acting coach.
Of course, as it should. Yeah, but you got to look past that.
According to this actor, they actually saw a visible improvement, that once they brought in the acting coach, it was a lot better. And that gives me confidence in watching this and seeing how he's going to react.
Absolutely. I mean, people can look at it as a bad thing, and I get that point, but ultimately it's a good thing, because now the movie's going to be better for it. Another thing that I think everybody knew about was that this movie started off with one director, ended with somebody totally different. which is one of the big points about what makes me more excited about this movie, because now they've got Ron Howard, who ended up finishing out the movie. But I know that they did a lot of reshoots.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right? They didn't change the way, they didn't change the story, they didn't change the plot, they didn't change the idea behind the scenes.
Like they did with Rogue One. They did that. Apparently, when they did the rewrites, they actually rewrote parts of the script and then completely refilmed some of those things.
And the whole plot line of those scenes were completely changed.
They're
not the case with this.
I can't remember the directors of Lego Movie. They're sticking with a lot of what they did.
And it was two directors. I don't remember their names either.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but they are apparently getting an executive producer credit, so they will still be attached to this film. But the
scenes are remaining the same, right? They reshot them to improve the quality, which is,
and according to the actor, the unnamed actor, they once they brought in Ron Howard, that's when things really turned around. Apparently, some of the higher ups at Lucasfilm and Disney were not exactly happy with what was going on with the two previous directors, and the actor said that there was times when the directors would say cut and then reshoot. They would do things 20, 30 times, and some of the other actors, when they were filming, they would actually kind of get done with the scene and then kind of share glances of like, oh my god, are we done yet? Like, this is getting awkward. And then once they got fired, people were wondering, they were texting back and forth with the actors saying, they were just wondering whether or not the movie was going to continue forward. So Ron Howard came in, and according to the actor, he would do things in 2 to 3 takes as opposed to 20 to 30. So immediately they start seeing the impact of kind of, I don't know, he is more experienced, but someone who came in with a vision and knew what he wanted and got what he wanted out of the director or the actors. And
hearing that makes me increases my excitement.
Yes.
Tenfold.
Yeah. Which, I don't know about you, but this was a leak that really made me feel better about the movie. His acting is going to be better. They became so much more efficient. I think it was a controlled leak. I think they meant to do it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did it.
I think it goes all the way up to Kathleen Kennedy.
That is quite a conspiracy theory, my friend.
The green light.
That is quite the accusation.
Calling it now.
Kathleen, you are on the chopping block. Look out.
So when I'm looking at my work Slack or on Twitter or on Reddit threads, stuff like that, I see a lot of negativity about this movie. And,
which I think there has been since the beginning.
Yeah, some may be warranted. Like we said at the beginning, we weren't exactly thrilled about a Solo movie. We didn't want it to be screwed up. But as we've already mentioned, our excitement is growing, right?
Absolutely. And we're going to critique the movie, as every Star Wars fan will. But ultimately, we are true Star Wars fans. Yeah. So I'm going to go to the movie, I'm going to see it, and I'm going to enjoy the hell out of it.
Yeah, and I think, so, we're seeing Ron Howard be a more efficient director. One thing that I kind of forgot about that is also up in my excitement about this movie is that, I didn't know if you're aware of this, but so a lot of people were saying on, Reddit threads and stuff that this movie's just a cash grab by Disney, that Disney's pumping them out too quick, and this is one of those ones where they're just doing this for the money, right? However, this idea actually started with George Lucas, and he had got Lawrence Kasdan to write the script, and they actually then they sold it, and they still kept the idea. He, I guess, passed the torch on to his son, and then took back over the script and finished out the script. So in reality, this is a movie idea from George Lucas written by Lawrence Kasdan. This
is years in the making, really. So it wasn't just something done and decided to do on a whim.
And the last time we got a movie spawned out of George Lucas's mind and written by Lawrence Kasdan,
we got the greatest Star Wars movie ever made
of all time. So
Empire
I'm pretty excited about that, And also that since Lawrence Kasdan is writing it, that means Rian Johnson is not. So it's probably going to be good. I'm just kidding.
I like the serious shade being thrown at Rain Johnson. I'm with you on that one, but was not previously aware of the Lawrence Kasdan information.
Yeah. So
again, just increasing my excitement for this movie the more and more we go on.
Yeah, same here. So I don't know. I said we finish up with the announcement of this will small talk around the action figures that are coming out.
Right. Yes. I think they came out today.
They came out
at midnight, right?
I think so.
There's a couple. I don't know about you. There's definitely a couple that I'm really excited about. I'm really a fan of the Black Series action figures. Definitely going to be picking up a Lando Calrissian action figure.
Of course. I have to have a Donald Glover action figure as Lando action figure.
I never thought that I would say that I'm going to have an action figure of Donald Glover, but I'm going to get one. It looks awesome.
It's going to be amazing.
And I'm very excited about it. There was also a couple of stormtroopers that looked really cool. The Imperial Range Trooper, who's got kind of like
a snow trooper from Empire Strikes Back-ish with the kind of furry gear.
Right. He's got a lot of like heavy, like a heavy coat, like
those
a fur
boots.
wrap around his shoulders.
Those boots, those are some
mixture of cloth and looks like what might be some sort of mechanical boot.
Yeah.
Boots that they've got on. Helmet looks interesting.
Helmet is dope.
Probably gonna pick up one of those too. There was another trooper as well. Which was I don't remember what the name of it was, the Mimban Stormtrooper, something to that effect. It's a Walmart exclusive. I'm only going to be able to get this guy at Walmart. He kind of reminds me, this Stormtrooper a little bit reminds me of Captain Phasma, just because he's got like the little cape going on, and it basically is a regular Stormtrooper with a cape. And he's got a bunch of battle war wear and tear all over his armor. It's got dirt, scuffs all over the legs. The helmet is dented. It looks like he's really been through some stuff.
Looks really awesome.
Again, very cool.
Definitely picking that one up. Yes. So, other than the Black Series, we see the standard array of the smaller action figures. Yeah,
the Force Link 2.0 action figures. And all expect to pretty much get all the same characters across the board with all these things. Lando, Emilia Clarke's character, Han Solo, Chewie, probably a couple of stormtroopers, pretty much across the board.
Yep. They're releasing a Millennium Falcon that is kind of 4 action figures. You can fit your Han and Lando in the cockpit, and this one shows the new design of the new Millennium Falcon, and that's when I really saw what you were talking about, and this is where it becomes super apparent.
You didn't notice it in the trailer.
Yeah, exactly.
Then we're talking about the gap that's in the front. Typically, has now been filled in.
Yep.
And they've got an action figure coming out of that, which looks pretty cool. Of course. They're going to put out new Legos. They've got a couple of cool sets there. Han's speeder that you see in the trailer. Mm-hmm. We've got another TIE fighter, pretty standard there. My favorite, probably the new Millennium Falcon.
Yep. And as always, that's going to run you a little bit more. These Legos are very pricey. This one's going to be...
If you want to afford food, maybe don't buy it.
Yeah. This one's running about $170. So, I've never purchased one of these giant ones, but I've always wanted to.
I have. I've got one of the original Millennium Falcons.
You're gonna have to buy one of these to.
I have to. I have to now. I've got to display them side by side.
Don't tell your wife. She won't listen to this anyway. So. All right. And from there, that's
what else we've got? Probably a couple of Nerf guns that are coming out. Some of them look kind of cool.
So. Completely unsolo related, but apparently they're also releasing the Riot Baton from The Last Jedi.
Yes.
Which looks awesome.
Looks very awesome.
I don't know if it was from The Last Jedi. Maybe The Force Awakens. But
I think both.
Yeah.
I think it was used in both, if I'm not mistaken. That looks very cool. Might have to splurge on that one too.
Yes. I think alongside of all of these things that are coming out, I forgot to mention this, there is one that came out.
Already.
I don't know if it came out, but it's pictures of it's a package of something, and it has Emilia Clarke's character Kira in it, and in that picture is a pair of golden dice connected by a string, or a chain, right?
Right. She's holding on to them in her hand. They're dangling at her side.
Yes.
And
this looks oddly familiar.
Presumably the same dice we see in The Last Jedi.
Yes, exactly. And I think, so this one I actually saw from the parody Twitter account at Kylo is Sad. And it's actually kind of funny because he tweeted this out and he says, quote, what is this? Why is she holding my dad's dice? So, pretty hilarious. If you don't follow that Twitter account, you definitely should. And it's just interesting to see those dice, and we might get a little bit of backstory there.
Once again, looping in all the movies together. Love what they're doing with it. It's reminding me more and more. I mean, when Disney took over Marvel, it was the best thing that could have happened for Marvel. Look what we've got now. Mm-hmm. We've got Infinity War coming out soon. What they've done with the Marvel Cinematic Universe is amazing. And I'm seeing what I'm picturing, what I'm hoping for, is the same for Star Wars. And I can't tell you how psyched I am about it.
Yeah. I think that's a perfect analogy of what I hope comes out of Lucasfilm being owned by Disney.
I think they're going to do a good job, and I'm really looking forward to see what they've got in store for us in the future.
Yeah. So I think that wraps up our talks about Solo.
Bottom line, we're very excited. Movie comes out May 23rd. 25th. Movie comes out May
Memorial
25th.
Day weekend.
Buy your tickets. Go see it. This is going to be a good one. I can feel it. I don't think it's going to disappoint. That's all we've got for you today, guys. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you on the next one.